What if I told you that one single thought could bring peace to your heart even after 70? As we age, life doesn't slow down inside, it often speeds up. While the world outside seems to move on, the mind can become louder, heavier, and more restless than ever before. Thoughts about our health, our loved ones, our legacy, they swirl endlessly, and sometimes it feels like peace is slipping through our fingers. In this video, we're going to explore 5 specific thoughts that have helped thousands of seniors reclaim their inner calm. These aren't just ideas pulled out of thin air. They're grounded in wisdom, psychology, and, most importantly, lived experience. And while each of these thoughts is powerful on its own, there's one in particular, one deceptively simple phrase, that has the power to end your anxiety completely when you truly understand it. So, if you're over 70 and find yourself feeling nervous for no clear reason, or lying awake at night with your heart racing, or constantly bracing for something bad to happen, then this might be the most important video you watch all week, because it's never too late to change the way you relate to your thoughts. It's never too late to feel peace again. And the best part, you don't need to become someone else to get there. You just need to learn how to think differently. Starting with these 5 life-changing thoughts. Thought 1. This is just a thought, not a fact. One of the most powerful shifts you can make after 70 is learning to say, this is just a thought, not a fact. That might sound too simple to be useful, but the truth is, most anxiety isn't caused by reality, it's caused by believing everything your mind says without questioning it. After decades of experience, your brain has collected countless memories, regrets, and fears. And sometimes it throws them at you like a slideshow you didn't ask to see. What if I fall? What if I'm becoming a burden? What if my best days are behind me? These thoughts don't come with warning labels. They arrive dressed like facts, and when you believe them, they tighten your chest, cloud your judgment, and drain your peace. But when you pause, take a breath, and say, wait, that's just a thought, something amazing happens. You create space between you and the fear. You stop treating every worry like a guarantee. Instead, you start noticing patterns. You begin to see how your mind has been repeating the same fearful story over and over, like an old radio stuck on the same channel. And once you see that, you can choose not to tune in. Let me give you a real example. I knew a woman named Margaret, 81 years old, who used to wake up every morning with a racing heart. She believed something terrible was always just around the corner. Her health was okay. Her family was fine. But her mind was constantly warning her of disasters that never came. One day during a support group, someone shared this thought, just because I think it doesn't mean it's true. That line hit Margaret like a thunderbolt. She realized she'd been living under a sky of imaginary clouds. The storm was in her mind, not in her life. So the next morning, when that feeling came back, she whispered to herself, this is just a thought, not a fact. It didn't make the fear vanish instantly, but it gave her a tool. And over time, that tool gave her power. This shift is not about ignoring reality, it's about facing reality, without being hijacked by your imagination. Because when you treat every thought as a warning, you start living in a world that doesn't exist. One filled with danger, rejection, or doom. But when you remember that not every thought deserves your belief, you reclaim your inner authority. You remind yourself that you are not the voice in your head. You're the one who hears it, and that changes everything. The mind will always think that's its job. But your job is to choose which thoughts to entertain, and which ones to gently let pass like clouds in the sky. The older you get, the more important this becomes. Because peace in later life isn't about having fewer thoughts, it's about believing fewer lies. And the moment you can say, "This is just a thought," you take the first step toward freedom. Thought 2, I can't control everything, but I can control what I focus on. One of the heaviest burdens that anxiety places on older adults is the illusion of control, that nagging feeling that if we just worry enough, plan hard enough, or stay on alert, we might stop something bad from happening. But the truth is, after 70, life teaches us again and again that no amount of worry can control the future. The weather changes, bodies age, people make decisions we can't understand, and the world keeps moving with or without our permission. And when you try to carry all of that on your shoulders, you end up feeling exhausted, bitter, and helpless. That's why this thought is so freeing. I can't control everything, but I can control what I focus on. Let that settle in for a moment. You may not be able to change the fact that your children live far away. You may not be able to reverse a diagnosis, stop inflation, or bring back someone you lost. But you can choose where your attention goes today. You can choose whether to focus on what's missing or what remains, whether to dwell on what you fear or what you still love, whether to wake up and notice the aches or the sunlight coming through the curtains. I once spoke with a man named Henry, 84 years old, who had lost his wife 3 years earlier. He told me that for months he couldn't stop fixating on the silence in the house, the empty side of the bed, the sound of her voice fading from memory. He thought about it constantly, until one day, during a walk, he looked up at a red cardinal in a tree. For the first time in weeks, he smiled. And that moment changed something in him. From then on, he made a choice not to erase the grief, but to give more attention to what was still alive around him: flowers, neighbors, warm meals. And slowly, the anxiety began to loosen its grip. You see, this isn't about pretending that everything's okay. It's about reclaiming your power by choosing where to shine your light. Anxiety grows in the dark corners of your mind where your attention gets stuck. But when you shift your focus even slightly, you remind yourself that you are not helpless. You are not just a passive observer of your thoughts. You are the one holding the flashlight, and you get to decide what part of your life to illuminate. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Just because it feels real doesn't mean it's reality. Let me tell you about Henry, a man I met in a small town in Iowa. He was 81, widowed for 5 years, and had started to believe he was just taking up space. That was the exact phrase he used. He told me, "My kids don't call as much. My knees hurt. My hands shake. I'm not who I used to be." And every day, that thought repeated in his head like a broken record. But after joining a meditation group at his church, he heard something that stopped him in his tracks. Your thoughts are like passing cars. You don't have to chase every one. That image stayed with him. The next time his mind said, "You're useless," he paused. He didn't argue. He didn't panic. He just said, "There's that old car again," and let it drive on by. Over time, the thoughts didn't stop, but they lost their power because he stopped mistaking them for the truth. There's a deep freedom that comes when you realize you don't have to believe everything you think, especially thoughts that come from fear, shame, or loneliness. These thoughts might visit, but they don't get to stay. You don't have to entertain them. You don't have to wrestle with them. You can simply notice them, breathe, and return your attention to something real. Your feet on the floor, the warmth of your tea, the kindness in a neighbor's eyes. This thought, "I am not my thoughts," is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about creating space. It's about stepping back just far enough to see your thinking clearly without being swept away by it. It's about remembering that your worth isn't decided by what pops into your mind on a bad morning, but by the simple fact that you are alive, aware, and growing even now. So the next time your mind says something cruel or discouraging, don't fight it, and don't follow it. Just pause, and then choose not to believe it. Because your thoughts are not the final authority. You are, if you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable. Please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Thought 5. Nothing lasts forever. It's funny how often we forget the most obvious truth in life. Nothing stays the same, and yet, when anxiety creeps in, especially in our later years, it usually comes from the silent hope that things should stay just as they were, or fear that the worst feelings will last forever. But here's the liberating thought that only a few ever truly absorb. Nothing lasts forever. Not joy, not sorrow, not fear, not pain. Everything rises, lives for a while, then fades. That includes the heaviness you're feeling right now. That includes the doubts and dread that keep circling your mind. And the moment you accept this truth, you give yourself the grace to breathe through even your hardest days. I once spoke with a woman named Clara, 77 years old, and recently diagnosed with a chronic illness. She told me her mornings had become a war zone of fear. What if I lose my independence? What if I become a burden? Those thoughts greeted her before she even put her feet on the ground. And because she believed that how she felt in the moment was how she would always feel, the fear began to grow roots, but with gentle guidance. She began to repeat one quiet line to herself each time her heart raced. "This too shall pass." At first, it felt mechanical, even hollow. But slowly something shifted. She stopped resisting the fear and instead watched it come and go, and it did. The fear never disappeared entirely, but it stopped running the show because she stopped believing it would stay forever. There's a deep peace that comes from recognizing the impermanence of all things. Think of the seasons. The way winter gives way to spring, not through force, but through time. Your emotions, too, are seasonal. They don't need to be fixed or figured out in the moment. They just need to be witnessed and allowed to pass through. When we clutch our sadness or panic in our anxiety, we give those feelings more power than they deserve. But when we remember that everything in life is in motion, our bodies, our relationships, even our thoughts, we loosen our grip and gain perspective. This doesn't mean we become passive or careless. It means we become wiser. A storm in the mind is like a storm in the sky. You don't control it, but you can shelter and wait. You can know with certainty that it won't last. That truth alone can ease the pressure that anxiety puts on your chest. Because if it's not forever, then you can survive it. You can even grow through it, and perhaps most importantly, when we understand that nothing lasts forever, we begin to cherish what's here now. The taste of warm soup, the sound of a friend's voice, the light filtering through the window in the afternoon. These are not small things. These are life, and they are always changing. So we can meet them with fresh eyes, knowing they won't come back in quite the same way. So if today feels heavy, if you feel overwhelmed or anxious, remind yourself with a soft voice, this too shall pass. And remember, just as the sun sets each night, only to rise again, your heart too will find its warmth again. Let this thought settle deep into your bones. Nothing lasts forever. And that is not something to fear, it's something to find comfort in. Final thoughts. If there's one truth I've learned in all my years, it's this. Peace isn't something you find on a mountaintop or tucked away in some perfect life. It's something you build, thought by thought, day by day. And after 70, when life has slowed down just enough to finally hear yourself think, that's when these thoughts become most powerful. Anxiety may still knock on your door, but it doesn't have to move in. Not when you have these simple, wise reminders to meet it with. You see, most folks spend their whole lives trying to change their circumstances, hoping that if they just get things in order, they'll finally feel at peace. But the older I get, the more I realize circumstances are slippery. They rise, they fall, they never stay still. What really matters is how we meet them, and that starts with how we talk to ourselves in quiet moments. Whether it's reminding yourself that you've survived every hard day so far, or gently releasing the need to control what others think, these small shifts in thinking begin to open the door to a more peaceful heart. And no, it's not always easy. Some days the old fears come back louder than ever. But if you can remember even one of these thoughts, hold it like a lantern in the dark, you'll find your way through, because anxiety feeds on helplessness. But wisdom, the kind that only comes from living, gives you your power back. So the next time you feel anxious, I want you to try something. Instead of running from it, sit with it. Ask it what it's trying to protect. Then remind it gently that you are no longer the same person you once were. You're wiser now. And then, one thought at a time, speak truth into that fear. These aren't just words, they are tools. You've earned the right to feel calm. You've walked through enough storms. Let peace be your reward. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.